Support for the Lancast is provided by Pennsylvania College of Art and Design.
Welcome to the Lancast. I'm David Moulton. Hosting with me this episode is our writer, Lauren Slesser, who had an interesting connection to our guest. Joining us via Google Hangout is Darryl Armstrong. Darryl tells the story of the difficulty of leaving your hometown to pursue bigger and better things.
I really enjoyed growing up there, for the most part, until I hit, 14, 15, and realized there was nothing to do in the area.
Later in the show, Darryl also talks about what life in Las Vegas is like.
It felt like an extended vacation, and then the lights got old pretty quickly.
Enjoy the conversation. Well, Darryl, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
You first contacted me about coming on the show because you are an ex-Lancaster, Lancasterian? Is that what they call us?
I think so.
That's always
No, Lancastrian.
Lancastrian. I don't like that
because
it's
terminology.
It up.
What's that?
Is that actually a thing? I thought I made it up.
I think it's real. It bothers me because it's like Lancaster is pronounced with kind of like a G-ish sound, but Lancastrian takes that away, and that makes me mad and sad on the inside.
Sad on the inside.
So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but the correct pronunciation is Lancaster.
Yeah.
Only if you're from there, though.
Well, here there's Lancaster, California, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away, and they all pronounce it wrong.
That's right. They need to come over to our side.
Well,
they're actually supposedly have been founded by a transplant from our Lancaster.
Seriously?
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard that before. That's pretty interesting.
Huh. Well, I'm going to just jump right in. You had mentioned that, you grew up in our area, and then you kind of got that bug that you had to get out, and then you moved, and there's more to the story than that. But that's really a popular thing for our area, and I think areas like ours in general, where it's kind of a small town feel, where people reach a certain age and they're just like, man, this place is, I got to get out of here. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. I'm just interested to hear your story of growing up in the area and why you decided to leave.
Sure. I really enjoyed growing up there, for the most part, until I hit, 14, 15, and realized there was nothing to do in the area. Arts, stuff like that, no culture, what I thought at the time, at least. So I'd always been kind of interested in moving to a big city, making my way, naming lights, all that fun stuff. And then when I was about 25, it's kind of a depressing story. In the span of about 2 months, I got passed over for job promotion. My girlfriend at the time and I split up. My dad died, and my car engine blew out completely. And two of my best friends at the time had been planning on moving out to Las Vegas. They knew what was going on with me and said, hey, why don't you come along? And I thought, well, now's as good a time as any to make that break. And so I did.
Okay, so you didn't necessarily...
Jump to that big city.
Like, you weren't necessarily dreaming of Las Vegas specifically, but because they were going out, you followed them out there?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it. So I remember you and I were in class together for a few years, way back when, and I just have sort of vague recollections of you being like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and you could always make me laugh. But when you switched schools, then I sort of lost touch with you, and so I never really knew what your interests were, or I don't really have a recollection of what your interests were. Past fourth grade, I think, is when I remember being in school with you last. But it sounds like you're into the arts.
Yes, very much. Going back to school quick, I was looking through some old pictures
Oh, boy.
with my daughter over the weekend.
Oh, okay, that's not as bad. I thought you were going to say old Living Word Academy pictures.
Well,
That would be terrifying.
Well, actually, in all of my old pictures, there are a bunch of school photos, and I actually still have your first grade school photo.
That's awesome.
I'll send you a
I'll try to
copy,
forget that you said that.
There was a time when I think I had some of your old
I
school
know.
photos as well.
I know.
Yeah, the wallet size that you would just hand out to
Yep,
people.
the little trader
Yep.
cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a collector's item now.
I'll send it back to get autographed.
Yeah, that would be great.
So anyway, you wound up leaving the area and heading to Vegas. So what were your first impressions coming from, rural Lancaster County to now big city, big lights, never sleeping atmosphere?
Well, now I'd been to New York lots of times, and they say New York, is the city that never sleeps. Well, Vegas is really the city that never sleeps. Bars never close. They're open 24 hours a day. Anywhere on the Strip or in downtown Vegas, where they have a lot of the really older casinos, everything is lit up and everything's running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which was a bit of a culture shock coming from Lancaster. Lauren had mentioned my interest in the arts, and that was one major reason I wanted to go to a big city. Unfortunately, I wound up in Vegas.
Unfortunately, did you say?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, okay. Why do you say that?
Well, Vegas has a lot of shows. They're actually doing really well, bringing in production shows, former Broadway shows, a lot of music stuff. Celine Dion, of course, was a huge headliner here for a while recently. Barry Manilow, I actually got to work on his show through my job. But independent art, stuff like that just doesn't have any toehold here. It's actually, from what I can tell, bigger now back in Lancaster than I would say it is here.
Yeah, I would say so.
I was just going to say that he left, and then the arts were like, finally he's gone, and then they just moved in like behind your wake and filled in the gap. I think it was the plan.
So you worked on some things for celebrities coming through. What do you do for work out there?
I work for an advertising agency here in town. We're actually based out of Philadelphia and Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
So you can never really leave.
Yeah. That's our home office, but we have our office here in Vegas as well. Do a lot of work for the casinos. Get to work on a lot of the performers who come through. Do a lot of the shows, and then everything down to the mundane stuff like junk mail, newspaper ads, stuff like that.
So you have a contract with whatever random casino, and then they say, hey, we have this person coming through. Can you do an ad for their show?
Pretty much.
Kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty cool. Pretty exciting.
Actually, I'm Don Draper. In real
Literally.
life.
Yeah.
He is Don Draper. Like, that's not a joke.
Really. But it's nice to be able to impress my friends with that.
Seriously. Did you get some autographs that way? I mean, like
yet.
from real celebrities, not like from us.
Not yet. But I have met a few.
That's pretty awesome.
Which has been fun.
So what other kind of things did you wind up finding difficult to adjust to in your new setting? Did you feel at home right away, or did it take you some time to really settle down?
At first, it felt like an extended vacation. I always really loved traveling, going anywhere new. So we actually, when we moved out here, it took about 2 weeks, drove the whole way across country, camped most of the time, got to see St. Louis, the Big Arch, Grand Canyon, drove all through Texas. That's a big state.
Yes, it is.
So it felt like an extended vacation, and then the lights got old pretty quickly. It took me quite a while to adjust. I mean, besides the pace of the town, we're in the middle of a desert, palm trees instead of real trees. Everything is brown and not green. And, of course, the heat, which hits about 120 normally during the summer.
Wow. Dry heat, right?
Surprising thing is, during the winter, it actually does get pretty chilly. It goes down into the 30s.
Okay. And
the first week I was out here, I called my mom. It was February. Just to check in, say, hey, I've arrived, getting acclimated in here. And, oh, by the way, it's snowing. And, of course, back there it was like 60 degrees that day.
Wow. So you guys do get snow?
Yes, we do. Usually it doesn't lay. It'll melt almost right away. Except 2 years ago, we got like a full inch.
Wow.
And it laid. And it pretty much shut down the entire city.
I was going to say that when I lived in Dallas, that was pretty much what happened. Like, everybody freaked out if you just got a little dusting. They had all the trucks out. Everything got canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much all melted by the next morning, but schools were all closed.
Yeah. So what are the people like out there? Are they... I mean, like you mentioned about feeling like you were on vacation. Is it all very touristy, or is it just like that on the Strip?
More so on the Strip. I don't know what the exact population in the actual city of Las Vegas is, but the Clark County, which is where Las Vegas, Henderson, and Boulder City reside, is over 2 million people.
Wow.
So there are a lot of locals. It's a very transient town, but there's still a lot of communities here that have settled in and you just never hear about outside of Vegas, because when people think of Vegas, they immediately gravitate toward the Strip.
Right.
What other kind of exciting activities do you find yourself involved with out there that is not what we would normally think of for Las Vegas?
That's a good question.
Is that your way of saying nothing?
Nothing. Not really, no. I mean, I work, for the casinos, so
yeah,
I spend a lot of time, around that focus. But there are a lot of things out here. I'm trying to think. Solar is big. They're bringing in, trying to bring in solar, wind, energy production, which they're hoping will become a secondary tentpole for the economy out here. Oh, also Zappos the online shoe retailer, is based here in Las Vegas, and they're pretty huge part of the economy, local economy.
Yeah, I have a friend who buys stuff from there all the time. I haven't personally, but
Why do you got to talk about me on air like that?
yeah, I know.
Tell everyone where I get my great deals on my shoes.
How many pairs of shoes do you own, David?
That is a very personal question.
Maybe we could have like a contest online to see who can guess the
So you can
closest
guess how
number.
many shoes I have. It says, leave a comment. How many shoes do you think I have? I'm going to tell you, it's probably different than what you think. It's 2 pairs, and that's a lot for me.
2 pairs? Is a lot?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, Darryl? How many pairs of shoes do you have?
About 5 or 6.
See?
Any from Zappos?
No.
But he would.
He would.
Yeah. Well, we're going to head to break, and when we come back, we're going to have more with Darryl about Las Vegas.
Whoa, David, what have you got there?
A pina colada?
No, not the drink.
Oh, this. Yeah, I've been meaning to tell you about this. We just got our shipment of 3x10 bumper stickers in.
Oh, sweet. Now I can put one on my car and pick up chicks.
Keith, you're married.
Whoa, it's working already.
Well, if you want a chick magnet Lancast bumper sticker like Keith, they're free. Just email us at bumpersticker@thelancast.com. Hey, Keith, get back here with the box of stickers. I need one for my car. And we're back on the Lancast with Darryl Armstrong. Darryl, earlier in our conversation, we were talking about why you moved out to Vegas, and one of the reasons is you were pursuing the arts and wanted that to be a part of your life. How, other than promoting things for the casinos, have you incorporated that into what you do?
One of the things I'm most proud of being involved with is the artsandfaith.com board, which is hosted by Image Journal. It's a group of people made up of film critics, clergy, artists, authors, filmmakers, who have come together to discuss how the arts relate to religious faith. We've put together a top 100 films list back in 2011, and then have been supplementing it with top 25 lists every year since. We've done the top 25 horror films and the top 25 road movies. Both lists, of course, as they relate to faith. So that's one thing I'm involved with and super excited to be.
So is this like a board kind of thing where you all get together and vote on it? Do you have the public giving their input, or?
Yeah, it's a board. We all get together and vote. Anybody can sign up and join the discussion. It's at artsandfaith.com. But then any of the members who are registered can then go in and do voting as the lists come up each year.
And then is there any, I guess what would be the vision? I'm curious to hear what the vision is of this group, as you're compiling these lists. Is it just to kind of find common ground, or I'm kind of interested to hear a little bit more about this project.
That's something that we discuss a lot as a question, and I'm not an official spokesperson for it, but as I see it, it's a great tool for clergy to be able to use, for scholars to be able to use in schooling. And it's just a topic that doesn't get a lot of focus in the, I'll say, mainstream media.
Right.
That I think it's all about the discussion.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Now, did you get in on the ground floor of this, or is this something that you found and just applied yourself to?
Something I found. I've been involved with them for almost 10 years. And I am most proud of the fact that I was able to do some of the PR announcing the formation of the original top 100 list and then these supplements as they move forward. So being able to find a way to apply my skill set to this endeavor.
That's really cool hearing that you're involved in that, not only the arts but also faith. Those are two things that I share your interest with, and I think coming from a place like Lancaster that's so, I would say, deeply religious, it's kind of an interesting area to live. We have a lot of people coming in now from other parts of the world who are bringing their religious faiths here, and I really appreciate people who have interest in having those kinds of conversations and looking into our faith. Why do we believe what we believe, and how can we integrate creativity and just, finding new ways to have these discussions.
Absolutely.
Well, I think I'm going to steer the conversation to something that might be a little interesting for us here. We might have some slight argument to it, but why you had mentioned to me in a letter once that you're glad that you're not here anymore and that this is not an area that you would want to come back to. Why have you embraced that opinion? And why do you hate us? Specifically, Lauren.
About 2 years ago, they started carrying Turkey Hill products in the local stores here in Vegas. So I see no reason to have to come back now.
That is kind of a hard argument there. That's a pretty good point.
Turkey Hill's showing up all over the place. It was in some horror movie that I saw, and my friend and I were watching it, and like all of a sudden we're like, wait, that's Turkey Hill iced tea. And then we were like, we need drinks. We need to have a drinking game. Every time we see the Turkey Hill iced tea, we need to take a drink. But that didn't happen. But it's just kind of crazy that it's all over the place now. It's so close to us.
Well, they're not a Lancaster company anymore.
No. Well, some of it's
Aren't they?
It was started here. It's owned by the Kroger Corporation now, I believe.
They still produce some of the stuff here.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why you have Turkey Hill iced tea.
That probably is.
Not that you should complain about that.
So are there deeper reasons behind your lack of desire for our area?
Honestly, one of the biggest reasons is the weather. Even though it gets hot out here during the summer, being in rain and clouds kind of brings me down. And I love being out here sunny almost every day, all year round. That might sound shallow, but I really, really love not having to wake up and deal with getting soaked, during the day, or especially during the winter, even though it snows here, not having to deal with 6 inches or more of digging out of snow during the winter.
One of the things that I've often thought about when I've explored the idea of moving, which has not been that often, but I think about family and friends that I'd be leaving behind. Was that difficult for you, and how have you kept in touch with the people that were a part of your life when you were here? That is one of the biggest challenges, and one of the things I miss most about the area. Not so much the area itself, but exactly that my friends and family. Now, it helped when I moved out here. I moved out here with my 2 closest friends at the time. So I had them, and then actually I would say my relationship with my mom probably improved
We actually talked a lot more when I moved out here, and our relationship has been really great. Now, my extended family, of course, I don't get to see a lot, and a lot of my friends that I grew up with, it's been hard in that sense. Keeping in touch, just amazed at the era in which we live with Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. We're doing this over Google Plus Hangout. It makes it really easy to at least be able to keep in contact with those people. A lot easier. So that has been a huge help. And just trying to be able to visit as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree with the era that we're in. I mean, you and I have never met in person yet. We have been friends through social media for maybe 2 years. I don't know. It's been a while since. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't say we're tight or anything, but I mean, if I had a question in your kind of area, like I would know that I could go talk to you about this, or specifically like science fiction and stuff. Like we connect on some film,
right?
Some film levels. So it's just kind of crazy that we could build up a associate relationship without ever seeing each other through these kind of situations.
Actually, I would say some of my closest friends back in the Lancaster area I have met since I moved out here through social media, largely.
Huh. Well, I want to backtrack just a little bit because you said something that I didn't pick up on earlier or didn't think to ask you about, but you moved out with your then two closest friends. And what happened when you got out there? Did the three of you wind up growing apart just because it was so new and you were building new lives for yourselves? Or did you wind up building like a core of people around the three of you that you then grew larger and larger?
Mostly, I would say, grew apart going our separate ways. I still keep in contact with them, but one of them has since moved back to Lancaster, and the other one has moved on to San Francisco.
So you were the only one that stayed, huh?
I am the last man standing.
Did you win a prize?
No.
That is a bummer, man. You need to complain with your union. Should have got a prize for that.
Vegas is a big union town.
Now, Darryl, you have kids, right?
2.
Are they out in that area as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you get to see
2. I have a daughter, Audrey, and a son, Aiden.
And does your mom ever get to see them? Does she come out to visit you guys?
Yes, she comes out once or twice a year. But then she usually stays for about a month, so she gets good time in with the grandkids. She's actually coming out next weekend, and she'll be here through Thanksgiving.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Do you think she'll ever move out to be with you?
You know, this is one of those weird things where you grow older and you hit your teens and your 20s maybe. And you need to get away from your parents, and then you get to 30 maybe, and then you kind of miss them and want them around. So I've actually asked her to move out, and she loves Lancaster too much to leave.
Aw. Well, we do too.
Well, Darryl, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show and contacting me and telling me that you'd like to share with us. If any of our listeners want to get in touch with you to talk to you about being an expat within the Vegas area or what you're doing out there in general, how can they do that?
Best way is through Facebook or Twitter, or email me. I can give you my my Gmail account. It's darrylaarmstrong@gmail.com. That's DARRYLAARMSTRONG@gmail.com.
Super. Well, thank you once again.
I need to get a shorter email address, I think.
That's okay. It's going to be in the show notes. So, Darryl, in addition to contacting you personally, if anybody wants to hear more about the Arts and Faith project that you talked about, is there a website they can go to check that out?
Yeah, it's artsandfaith.com.
Well, thank you once again, Darryl.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
We hope you've been enjoying the Lancast.
This episode was produced by myself, David Moulton, with show notes by Keith and Lauren Slesser.
All pertinent links to this episode can be found in the show notes at thelancast.com.
If you specifically liked this episode, we ask that you consider making a donation.
Every little bit helps. Even $1 a show can keep us going.
If you'd like to help support us, you can do so by going to thelancast.com/donate.
And don't forget to subscribe in iTunes and tell a friend about the show.
So, for the Lancast, I'm David Moulton,
And I'm Keith Slesser.
asking, are you in the cast?
Arts and Faith?
artsandfaith.com.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you about that.
Fartsthatbake.com? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that was it.
All right.
You got it.
I thought I was just making sure I heard correctly.